Hello and welcome to the Farm Traveler Podcast. This is episode 29 and our guest today is Derrick Josi. You might know him on Instagram and Facebook as TDF Honest Farming. So Derrick is a pretty big name when it comes to the dairy industry. He's all about kind of showcasing what he does, a day in the life of a dairy farmer, what's it like working with cows 24/7, and also what it's like to fight animal activists online that are just super nasty, super vile, attacking him and his family. It's crazy all the crap that Derrick has to put up with. But we're going to have a really cool conversation, talk about him and Wilson View Dairy up in Oregon, which is where he's at. He's a fourth-generation dairy farmer, and how his farm is part of the Tillamook County Creamery Association. So check him out. We'll link the website and everything in the description. He's TDF Honest Farming on Instagram and Facebook. Hope you enjoy it. Again, this is episode 29 with Derrick Josi. Thanks for being on. You've got quite a social media presence. You've got a bunch of followers on Facebook, Instagram. You are a super, I would say, public figure when it comes to dairy on social media. You're at Wilson View Dairy, which is in Tillamook, Oregon. Tell us about kind of how that started. I know you're a fourth generation farmer, so tell us how that dairy started and what you guys are up to now.
Well, it started with my great-grandpa in 1918, so we've been around for a little over 100 years. And over the years, it's grown. When I came home till now, we're sitting at about 500 acres, milking 500 cows, Jerseys, because they are the best breed of dairy cows. And we're looking at, in the next 5 or so years, hopefully building all new facilities and getting a little larger. So that's just a 1,000-foot view of our operation.
I like it. So you said you're a fourth generation farm. So what was it like kind of growing up on that family operation and then kind of taking it over as you got older?
You know, I was on the farm with 3 cousins and my brother and my sister. So it was the best way to grow up. Our farm has 1.5 miles of riverfront property. It was terrible, spending all summer down at the river when we weren't helping on the farm.
Oh yeah, totally.
Terrible way to grow up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen on Instagram. You guys are in a beautiful spot in Oregon. I mean, you said you're in Tillamook County, and so
Yes.
Just looking at the scenery there, it is absolutely beautiful as opposed to just here in Florida where it's just flat and you've got beaches. So it's a very pretty area.
Yeah, we have beaches too, 5 miles away.
Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't know you were that
the
close
coast
to the coast.
range. It's just such a gorgeous backdrop. It really is. And with the rain we get, we stay pretty green year round, and it's the perfect place to have cows when it's not raining. When it is raining, they have to be inside because we get
a
lot
I can
of
imagine.
rain.
Yes, I bet a lot of rain. So I know y'all are a part of the Tillamook County Creamery Association, and I first found out about it through you, and then my wife and I were on a flight to Ireland for the weekend,
And you saw our cheese, yeah.
Yeah, I saw your cheese. I tried not to freak out, and everybody sitting next to me was like, "Why is he taking a picture of a cheese packet?" And I just sent it to you. I was like, "Dude, this is so cool." So how did that Tillamook County Creamery Association get started, and how did you guys become a part of it?
Well, it actually started a little bit earlier than we started our dairy. My great-grandpa actually was part of the group of people that consolidated all the little creameries in this county into one association. So that's kind of a cool little historical fact that my great-grandpa helped found the organization. But it's a member-owned co-op, dairy co-op from all the farmers in Tillamook County. So
okay. So what are some advantages of having a co-op right there with you guys?
With our strong brand presence, it really helps us weather the low milk prices and the hard times because the co-op is able to help us out financially. So we're in it together. And so it's good when we're all pulling together.
Gotcha. How big is the dairy industry up there in Oregon?
We're not even in the top 10 in the country, I believe. There's only, I'm going to miss the number by a little bit, but there's 250 dairies in Oregon.
Okay, okay. That's still a pretty good number. I know Florida's up there a little bit, but I mean, the sections are kind of spread around kind of north and kind of central Florida. Would you say the dairy community where you are is kind of very close knit?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's spread out over the whole state, really, but everybody knows each other. I mean, it's a small community, and we tend to get along rather well for the most
Yeah,
part.
gotcha. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So I kind of want to dive into this, and you've mentioned you want to talk about it too. You're very present in social media when it comes to being a dairy farmer and just what's all involved in that life. So, what exactly got you started to do that, to kind of showcase what you're doing and what your life is like as a dairy farmer?
Well, I started 3 years ago, really. I started my first page on Facebook 3 years ago. And that was because I got tired of dealing with activists on their pages because I don't want to say that I'm socially savvy when it comes to social media, but I realized that every time I was engaging with them on their page, all that was doing was helping get their message out. I finally was just like, no, I need to stop helping them and I need to just do my own thing. And so I started TDF Honest Farming on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm just Derrick Cows by the Ocean, or Derrick Talks to Cows by the Ocean on there. I do more of a personal thing there. And I didn't think it was going to go where it has gone, but I guess when somebody's willing to take the punches and swing back, it resonates with people. And I definitely don't hold back when I counter their arguments. And I do it in a way that it's me. I'm sarcastic by nature, and I'm not gonna let them get away with the stuff they say. So it's fun. I enjoy it.
It seems like it. Yeah, I love your sarcasm, and you definitely do swing back. I mean, I've read some. I follow you, so I see some of the comments that people leave on your Instagram or Facebook, and some of them are just straight up rude. Like, I can't imagine ever saying something like how some of
Right.
these people say to you. Like, it's not only about you. Like, it's one thing if it would be just directed towards you, but a lot of the comments are directed towards your family, your kids, your business. I mean,
Hmm.
that's got to be frustrating to deal with as much as it happens.
Yeah, it is. And it gets to a point where if somebody's just downright rude, I I end up just kicking them off my pages because I don't have time to deal with rude, obnoxious people. So I'll let them know what I think of them, and then I kick them off the page.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, I imagine a bunch of them are there just to kind of like spread their own animal rights views and just to kind of bash you a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that yeah,
Basically, they're there to do what I was doing on their pages, but I was never rude. I never attacked them personally. I just used facts and was like, what you're saying is not true, and this is why. But when it comes to activists, it's all about emotion. They don't want to hear about the truth. It's how they
yeah,
feel.
yeah. It's all about facts versus emotions, and it's funny. In a lot of your rebuttals to them, you always usually link a video to a question that they're talking about.
Yeah,
And nine times out of ten, do they not go watch the video? They're just like, "Oh, this makes me feel bad, so I'm going to comment on it."
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, for example, yesterday I had a lady make a comment. Oh, that cow can't get out of. You can't leave. You have her locked in there. And even before I could reply, somebody else said, if you actually watched the video, he releases her at the end, and the whole point of the stanchion is so that he can do the things he needs to do, and it's safe for him and her. And when they're done, they leave. It's like, just watch the video. How hard is that?
Just watch it and you'll learn. Yeah, I mean that's the reason you made it, to kind of teach people. What would you say are like maybe a top five of the most popular misconceptions that people seem to just kind of get wrong?
Oh,
with dairy in particular.
with dairy in particular, antibiotics in milk or pus in milk. That's one. Um, the fact that they seem to think that we're abusing our animals, and that doesn't even make sense, because a happy cow produces more milk. There's actual studies that have shown this.
Hmm.
So um, that cows are devastated when we separate their calves at birth, and that's not factually accurate either. I've done videos showing that. That's three. Let's see, what's a fourth one? Oh, that we're the problem with the environment and we are the cause for global warming, when all the data shows that we are more sustainable than we've ever been, and we are not. We are actually one of the potential solutions to help combat climate change. So there's a fourth one. Oh, and you said five. Way to put me on the spot here. Oh, that we're feeding cows food or products that could be fed to humans, and so there's no point. And that's just straight wrong. I mean, how many people want to eat grass or corn stalks or even the byproducts we feed? There's a reason we're feeding the byproducts, because no human wants to eat uh, the soybean meal that's left over after we make soy oils and cooking oils and things like that. Nobody wants to eat that. So there you go.
Yeah,
There's five.
there you go. Yeah, that's a pretty good five. And I think it's a good point you said about the comfort of the cows. I mean, of course, like anybody in ag or anybody in dairy knows that a healthy cow is going to produce, a miserable cow is not going to produce. I mean, you've got things in there. I'm watching a video right now where you've got like a little dairy brush where the cows can walk up
Oh
and
yeah.
scratch their
Well,
backs. I
I
mean,
actually got that. I got that for me, but the cows use it.
well, there you go. I mean, best of both worlds. They can walk up and use it. If you've got some downtime, just walk up and scratch your back. I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other common misconception. If cows are in a barn, it's bad. My cows choose to be in the barn 9 times out of 10. I mean, they are so spoiled. If it gets too hot outside, too cold outside, it starts to sprinkle, it gets too windy, they go back to the barn. I mean,
They've got the good life. They want to enjoy it and be comfortable, right?
yeah. Why would they be outside in the weather? I mean, humans don't want to be outside in the weather. Cows aren't going to be miserable outside if they have a nice barn with water, food, and comfortable bedding. It doesn't make sense. And that one probably gets me the most. Just because a cow is in a barn is no reflection on animal welfare.
Right. Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, they're in there, they're comfortable, and then I mean, just because they're not outside 24/7 doesn't mean they're not living the good life. I mean, all the videos of your cows look like they're having a great time, they're super comfortable. Half the time you're walking around talking on your phone and they're just following you like, "Hey man, where's
Hmm.
Derrick going?" It's so cool to watch. Um, so I'm sure there's been a lot of negative stuff with you being on social media, a lot of frustrating stuff. What would you say are some of the most positive things that have kind of happened since you've been getting your message out there on social media?
Oh, that's actually not a question I get very often.
Well,
I don't
hey,
know, just all the people that reach out and tell me how thankful they are that I'm showing what an average dairy farmer it does, because I'm not special. I am the normal when it comes to dairy or anybody in agriculture. I'm just a farmer showing a normal day on the farm. And so, you know, on social media there's so much negative and so many videos that just show the side that it's that less than 1% of farmers that are just, they shouldn't be farming, but that's what gets put out there. So all the people that have messaged me and said, I'm so thankful you show, I was seeing these videos, I felt bad, I was going to stop eating meat and dairy or whatever, and now seeing how a dairy actually is ran, I feel much better. So that kind of stuff, and I get those a lot, and I probably should share those more than I do, because if you watch my stories, you see my sarcastic comments back to the haters way more than I ever share the positives, and maybe I need to adjust and show more of that. But
More of the positive experiences that you've had, the positive impacts. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
I
Yeah,
mean, I got one story where a lady she lives up in Canada, and she takes care of people in a retirement home, and she had one lady that always talked about Tillamook dairy products and how heartbroken she was that she couldn't get those in Canada. And this lady told me the story about crossing the border, smuggling Tillamook cheese up there to give to this old lady who was she had like a week left to live, and how much joy she had from having some Tillamook cheese.
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was stories like that. They're great.
Yeah, I bet they make all the negative moments kind of worth it. I mean, just that your cheese can put a smile on somebody's face like that. That's really neat.
Right.
Um,
And that's the other thing. And all these people that take pictures of, because we have ice cream and cheese down in Florida now. And I've had
yeah,
people from all over the states sending pictures and say stuff like, "We found your products. We're so excited to try them. They're so good." And it just feels good when that happens.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, my wife and I were shopping at Publix, I think last week, and I had to go get some mozzarella for a pizza we're making. And I'm looking, and I look up, I'm like, oh my God, they have Tillamook cheese here. This is great. And so we bought some, and it was delicious.
Yeah, our ice cream should be in Publix too. And it
Uh,
is
okay, we'll have to try
phenomenal.
that. All right. Hey, we love ice cream. That's
Who
perfect. Yeah.
doesn't? If you
I,
don't love ice cream, we can't associate with each
there,
other.
there you go. I'm lactose intolerant, but I love ice cream, and I will eat ice cream all day long.
Oh,
And I mean,
that's
it seems like you've got like a really big following and a really big group. I know like Dairy Mafia, y'all talk about it, and you and Veal Vet or Dr. Hake. It's so cool watching all you guys kind of go back and forth talking about what you're doing, how your dairy farm is, and issues you're all having. It's so cool to see that like just this huge dairy group on Instagram is just kind of formed where people are kind of just staying updated. So it's really cool to see.
Dairy Mafia is kind of slowed down, but we still definitely kicking it back and forth with. And I actually am talking with a bunch of crop farmers right now. That's what I love about Instagram. It just ebbs and flows, and it's just fun to see what other farmers are doing across the country. Like right now, I'm talking with an almond farmer down in California, back and forth every day, California farmer, and he's just hilarious. So I can't wait to see where he goes. He's an up and comer.
Oh, that's cool. What's his name on Instagram? We'll have to give him a look up.
It's California farmer.
California Farmer. Okay, that's pretty easy to remember. I like that. Yeah, whenever I'm trying to look up guests on here, I'll usually take a break from work and I'll go on the Discover page and just find random people and like, all right, you look pretty cool. I'm gonna follow you. And I think I found you originally though on Facebook. And I was like, all right, it's a mission. I'm gonna get TDF Honest Farming on the podcast. And we finally made it work. So I'm super excited. Um, so
Yeah, it has
tell
been a bit of back and forth, hasn't it?
it has been, but honestly, it's usually like that with like some of the production farmers we'll have. But I mean, we were there. We were both very understanding. Your schedule, my schedule, so we finally got it on the book. So that's all that
Right.
matters. So tell us about like your daily schedule. What's it like? I know you wake up early, milk the cows, go back to bed, wake up, go milk the cows again. So what's the daily life like of a dairy farmer?
Oh, well, we're all a little different, but mine starts at 3 a.m. and I don't actually do the milking unless it's an emergency and the guys, we're shorthanded. I'm in charge of feeding and cleaning and outside work, but so usually I'm feeding cows after from 3 a.m. till 8 a.m. And then, well, right now, you've seen some of the stories. I'm working on my house. We're residing it and redoing the front porch. And so I'm not really getting much sleep during the middle of the day right now.
Oh
And
man.
then at 2, I go back and start feeding and taking care of fresh cows and all my dad and I do all the vet work on the farm unless we have like an emergency surgery or a calving that desperately needs some help. And the running joke with our local veterinary clinic is if Dawn or Derrick call for a calving, that it's going to be a good one. Because
that's a good reputation to have, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they just know to be ready, because I've been doing this long enough that calves backwards or upside down or twisted up, usually I can get it done. So if I make a phone call, it means that it's going to be an interesting one.
I can imagine. Well, that's cool. What kind of equipment do y'all have for the dairy? Do y'all have any? I've seen we've interviewed one in Tennessee where they have one of those robot milkers. So what exactly do y'all use for the milking?
We are just a normal herringbone parlor with automatic takeoffs and stuff like that. When we do new facilities, we're looking into possibly doing robotics. I do have a robotic feed pusher, Juno, who every 2 hours pushes in the feed to make sure the cows are never out of feed.
Yeah, I've seen that. That looks pretty cool.
She, whichever it is. It's great. Because, before that, somebody had to manually go back there and do it. And so it saves us a lot of time. And the cows know that anytime it starts beeping, that the feed's getting pushed up. And
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they know it's scheduled. Yep, pretty much.
That's so neat. I like that. Well, this is a really good question I like to ask everybody, and I think you're in a really cool situation to kind of give us some insight into it. What are your thoughts on the farmer-consumer relationship right now? Like, I think a lot more consumers are going to social media, but what do you think right now are some issues and what do you think of the relationship right now between the farmer and the consumer?
So, the old saying, well, it's the saying, most people are 4 generations removed from the farm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like to reverse it. Most farmers are 4 generations removed from the consumer.
I like that. Okay.
If both sides don't start communicating, it's going to have adverse effects on farming. Because as it is, right, and that's kind of why I started my page too, so that I could communicate with people that have no idea what my life is like, or the average dairy farmer, or average farmer in general. And we have a tendency to think we need to ag-explain, is a term I just coined.
I like that. That's pretty good. Ag-explain it.
Yeah, and that doesn't work. They don't want to know the facts and figures on and what we're doing. They want to actually have a conversation. And they want to know that what we're doing, while yes, is scientifically proven and factual and based in good practices, they want to connect on a personal level. They don't want us to just spew facts and figures at them. I hate it when people do that to me. Why do we continue to think that the consumer just wants to know? Well, actually, animal agriculture is only 3.4% of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. They don't care. They want to know that what we're doing is environmentally friendly and sustainable, and it is. Mm-hmm. But they want personal side of it. They don't want the science. They want somebody to show them why we do what we do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, the more farmers we interview on this podcast, more and more of them are kind of turning to social media to have conversations and to build relationships with consumers. I mean, that way, like, it's effective right now because I followed you, and then all of a sudden, Tillamook cheese is getting everywhere. I'm like, you know what? I like this farmer. I like what he does. I'm going to support them directly and buy the product. So that's a really good point that that a lot of people in ag really need to build relationships and kind of focus on kind of having that dialogue with consumers. So those are all really, really good points.
Well, it's no different. Social media allows me or any farmer it would be basically like if it wasn't here, if I drove to downtown Portland, stood there with a sign that says I'm a farmer, talk to me. Social media allows me to still be on the farm and be able to talk to people in downtown major metropolitan areas.
Mm-hmm. They can see exactly what's going on at your dairy as it's happening. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like 24/7 news right from the source instead of all the middlemen and getting bogged down and all that jazz. So they can see exactly where it is. That's a really good point too.
Yeah, it's the wave of the future. And if you're a farmer and you enjoy social media, do it. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it.
I like that. Yeah. That's a very, very good point. If you're good, do it. If you enjoy it, do it. If you're not good at it, if you don't like it, don't do it. That's smart. Well, Derrick, this has been a really cool conversation, man. Is there anything else you want to add or anything else you want to bring up? I mean, I'm sure you could go on for hours and hours.
Yeah, I if you haven't noticed, I am not bashful about talking.
Totally fine. That it's great because that makes the perfect podcast guest. So that's totally good.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, Derrick, this has been awesome. So you're on Instagram and Facebook at TDF_honest_farming, which is, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. It took me a while to figure out what TDF meant. I was like, what does that mean? But then obviously Tillamook Dairy Farmer, duh.
Yeah, and I actually started as Tillamook Dairy Farmer, but
okay,
I started to get bigger and I thought to myself, I don't want to have my own company say, hey, Tillamook is a brand and copyrighted, and you're starting to infringe on that. So I voluntarily, before anything could potentially, happen, I voluntarily changed my name because it would probably look bad if my own, the company that I'm one of the members of had to tell me to change my name.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. That's funny. Do you have any future plans for the dairy? I mean, obviously you wanted to continue where your kids can be 5th generation and 6th generation on and so forth. What are some big time goals you would like to accomplish in the next couple of years?
Well, hopefully within the next 5 years, I will be breaking ground on new facilities. We happen to be right next to the major highway one of the major highways that runs from Portland to the coast. So I plan on having ag tours and a visitor center.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, because what's one more job and even more exposure and.
I mean, you got enough free time, right? I'm sure you can manage that.
Yeah. Why not?
That'd be really neat. So we interviewed some people a few months ago. They're in the UK and they actually have a dairy milk vending machine at their dairy. So they don't sell it. People in their local community will bring their own little bottles and just get milk that way. So maybe I should look into that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
There you go. Well, that's neat. If we're ever on the way to Portland and swing through there, we'll have to stop by there in a few years whenever we get that visitor center up. That'd be neat. Cool. Awesome.
It's part of the dream.
Hey, there you go. Living the dream, working for the dream. I like it. Well, Derrick, this has been really great. Thanks so much for sitting down with us and talking to us more about dairy and kind of what you're doing with social media to kind of get the message out there. Wish you nothing but the best of luck. And for all the negative comments you get, I mean, I'm sure you are well aware of it, but you're also just getting the message out there and influencing a lot of people. So thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing. It certainly does not go unnoticed.
Well, thank you.
Hey, no problem. And we'll stay in touch, man. Thanks for being on, and we wish you the best of luck.